If you ask who DC's strongest superhero is, you'd definitely name Superman, Wonder Woman, or The Flash. But do you know the weirdest and most unpredictable DC hero who can take on any shape? Today we're going to introduce you to Plastic Man, a guy who's famous for his jokes, but who has deeply dark and tragic roots. Patrick O'Brien, known as Eel, was a petty thug. He was a former criminal involved in theft and delinquency and had a completely dirty past. His first appearance was in 1941 in the comic Police Comics #1. One night, during a robbery, Patrick got into a fight with the guards and was shot. While escaping from a chemical plant, he fell onto a barrel of unknown acidic chemicals. These chemicals miraculously didn't kill him. They transformed him. But did this physical change mean a change in Patrick's corrupt nature? We'll answer that question later. Plastic Man is a comic book superhero who was initially created and introduced by Quality Comics, but after a while, DC Comics claimed the character as its own and used it in its comic books. Plastic Man is considered one of the first heroes to mix humor with the main action and adventure storyline of comic books. The character has had several dedicated solo series and has sometimes connected with other characters like Batman and many others in the large DC universe, particularly as a member of the Justice League team. Patrick Eel O'Brien, who was considered a small-time criminal, got himself involved in a robbery at Crawford Chemical Works, a robbery that didn't go as planned and messed everything up. He was shot by a guard and then came into contact with a strange acid. The members of Patrick's gang left him behind, and he wandered the streets while his powers were surging and advancing. Everyone he encountered on those streets was terrified of him, believing he was some kind of monster. Patrick didn't realize the strange predicament he was in at first, but when he found out what had happened to him, he became disappointed and disheartened, and even reached a point where he intended to kill himself. Before he could jump from a very high place and kill himself, a person named Woozy Winks came to him and stopped him from jumping. Woozy was considered a mental patient who had been released from his institution due to budget cuts and financial problems. The two quickly became friends and decided to turn Eel's new powers into a profitable opportunity. During this process, they accidentally decided it would be better for Patrick to become a superhero. But why? Why would the Justice League trust a former criminal comedian? The answer is, under that funny exterior, Plastic Man is one of the most powerful beings in the DCU. He's practically immortal because he has no known weaknesses, and due to his body structure, he is immune to physical damage, energy, and even telepathy. These powers made Batman, a guy who trusts no one, see him as an essential asset for the Justice League. If you want to know more about this weird character, you definitely need to read these comics. Plastic Man, Volume 2 by Kyle Baker. This series is one of the best Plastic Man tales, beautifully showing the character's humor and internal struggles. JLA, Justice League of America. His presence on the main Justice League team shows the depth of his character alongside the greatest heroes. He's been in important animated shows like Justice League Unlimited and the series Batman the Brave and the Bold, which offered the best portrayals of this character.
Now, what are Plastic Man's powers? Malleable and flexible physiology. Plastic Man gained his powers due to a strange incident, an incident where his entire body was submerged in an unknown industrial chemical compound. These chemicals entered his bloodstream through the bullet wound he had on his body. This caused a genetic mutation process to occur throughout his body, largely changing his physiology. Eel exists in a specific fluid state. He's neither completely liquid nor completely solid. Plastic Man has complete control over his bodily structure. Density control. Plastic Man has the ability to change his density and firmness anytime he wants and to any degree he likes. He can become hard and firm just like a rock, or soft and flexible just like a rubber band. Malleability and flexibility. He has the ability to stretch his limbs and body so much that he reaches superhuman lengths and sizes. There's still no limit set for exactly how much he can stretch and elongate his body. Size alteration. Plastic Man has the ability to shrink down to a few inches and become one of Batman's useful pockets, or make himself so large and tall that he ends up becoming a titan the size of a skyscraper. Shape-shifting. Plastic Man has the ability to mold his body into all kinds of shapes and sizes that are completely impossible for ordinary humans. He can completely flatten himself to, for example, slip under a door. He can also use his fingers to open many different models of locks. He has the ability to impersonate another person by changing his face and body shape, thanks to this super cool power. Thanks to his fluid state, Plastic Man can create holes in his body or even transform himself into various objects. Furthermore, Plastic Man has the ability to change his bodily mass and physical structure to any size he wants at any time. As we mentioned earlier, there are practically no limits to how much he can grow or shrink, or what shapes he can change his body into. Finally, superhuman agility. These stretching powers give Plastic Man the ability to boost his agility and quickness. He has excellent flexibility and can easily coordinate and balance himself, something that is extraordinarily beyond the natural limits of a normal human body.
Invulnerability. Plastic Man's powers increases endurance and resilience to an extreme degree. In some various storylines, Plastic Man was shown to be very sensitive to sudden attacks from bullets. In one of those instances, a substance similar to liquid plastic even came out of his body. However, in most stories, he's shown to be able to withstand strong impacts, crashes, and similar conditions without suffering any damage. He has the ability to resist incredibly fast blows, something that could easily kill a normal human. He can also resist explosions from high-energy weapons. Batman even mentioned in one storyline that Plastic Man could most likely survive a nuclear explosion. Interestingly, he's bulletproof. His bodily mass can be scattered. Generally speaking, we can say that Plastic Man is almost invincible against any target or attack. Regeneration and healing. Plastic Man has the ability to regenerate lost or damaged tissues or create duplicates of them, though it's necessary to mention that he must be completely whole and undamaged to begin this process. In one storyline, Plastic Man was torn into pieces and his molecules were completely separated. He remained scattered across the ocean for centuries until other members of the Justice League came to his aid and collected enough molecules to recover nearly 80% of his body mass. After this happened, he went about regenerating his body using the pieces that the Justice League had found on the ocean floor. Immortality. It doesn't look like Plastic Man's age increases. Even if it does, the speed is so slow that it's practically unnoticeable and is multiple times slower than a regular human. As mentioned earlier, in the Obsidian Age storyline, Plastic Man survived for 3,000 years scattered into pieces on the ocean floor. Therefore, we can say that he is over 3,000 years old and is still actively operating as a superhero. Plastic Man is a reminder. Even the darkest and worst people can change and turn their lives around. With his jokes, he not only confuses his enemies, but also injects a sense of hope and laughter into the serious and dark world of DC. Well, friends, that's the complete introduction to one of the funniest and certainly most powerful superheroes in the DC universe. If you liked this kind of deep analysis and introduction to fascinating characters, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on new videos.